I didn't.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? BC here. I'm here doing another webinar for you. I got Blaine on here as well. We're going to do kind of like a listing masterclass for you. I expect this to be quick to the point. I want to say this up front. I'm going to go first, then Blaine will go. You're not going to hear anything magical today. It's not going to be some secret, uh, insider information. I'm going to give it to you real, raw, and direct. I'm going to go through probably about 10 points that I made, pass it to Blaine, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Okay, this is all focused on you guys taking more listings in 2026, consistently getting more listings, and really, I picture it like being shot out of a cannon because you can start this stuff now to already see results coming January. Okay, so let's start in no particular order. All right, number one, if you really want to launch your listing machine status, which is what we'll call this, I'm going to really recommend that you do a minimum of 40 to 50 new contacts every single day, meaning that you're having live conversations with 40 to 50 new people every single day. That's a big number. I understand. But nowadays, it's easier. Why? You have dialers like Batch Dialer, Enzo Dialer, and call tools that allow you guys to call 5, 10, 12, 15, 20 lines at once. The biggest tool that I had when I started was the Mojo Dialer, which called 3 lines at once. And between going door to door and making calls, I could talk to 40 or 50 people every single day, usually in about 4 hours. Sometimes it took a little bit more, sometimes it took a little bit less. But the reason that I'm recommending this is number one, it's going to force you to spend half your day or more generating leads. Number two, it's going to rapidly increase your skill set. Number three, it's going to give you a lot more access to a lot more opportunities. It's going to now bring up the questions and real issues that you have down the line in your business. And it's going to be the number one way for you to springboard yourself into action and actually putting opportunities on the table for yourself. Right now, more than ever, agents are stuck watching content, listening to podcasts, and not executing enough, which is why now in all my workshops and in my coaching, we're doing more active stuff, making calls live, doing things right then in the moment to get people to actually do the work. We've talked about this for years, but every time I have a private conversation with an agent, oh, I'm talking to 20 people a week. 10. No, dude, you got to be talking to 30, 40, 50, 60 people every single day. And if you're really a rock star, you'll pick one day a week where you do a blitz and you talk to more people. Okay. Next, I'm also going to make the recommendation whenever you start your prospecting, which of course I'm going to recommend in the morning, that you're up and you start your day 2.5 to 3 hours before that. So if you're going to start making calls or going door to door at 9 in the morning, I'm going to challenge you to be awake by 6 or 6:30 at the latest to give you time to do your morning routine, get prepped, wake up, warm up, exercise, do what you got to do. That way, when it's time to make money, the money time, getting on the phone, going to door, or however you're going to lead generate, you're ready to go. You're awake, you're sharp, you're energized, and you're ready to go. What do we normally do? We roll out of bed and then we, stroll into the office or our home office, half-ass, wiping your eye boogers. You don't want to do that. I'm going to recommend that the night before you wrap up early, get to sleep a little bit earlier, wake up earlier, and have your routine established. This is key. You start correctly, and with the proper momentum, you're going to get into the rest of the day a lot more smoothly. Next, a minimum of 2 of the 4 recommended hours per day of prospecting, get it done in the morning. All of you probably have kids and responsibilities and issues and other deals that you're going to deal with in the afternoon. At least have 2 hours of the morning carved out for prospecting. You got to get on the phones, on the doors, talk to people, call your sphere of influence, hit the expires, hit the FISBOs. If you do that for 2 hours in the morning, not only are you actually going to accomplish a lot more, you're going to build that momentum for later in the day, and you'll be a lot more likely to carry it with you versus missing it or saying, oh, I'll do it later. Then stuff comes up and you can't do it and you have to push it to the next day and you're already playing catch up. You don't want to do that. Next, minimum 1 hour of role play a day. I'm going to recommend you do this for at least 30 to 60 days. If you commit to role playing with people 1 hour a day, normally 30 minutes is recommended to you. I'm going to ask you to double that. Why? This is where you guys can work on your weak links, and this is the warm up. Do 30 minutes before your first session and then do another 30 minutes in the afternoon. You have to really exercise that muscle. The more that you guys prospect and lead generate, and the more that you're role playing and practicing, the sharper your skill set's going to get. The sharper your skill set is, the more confidence you're going to have. The more confidence you have, the more you're going to want to lead generate because you know you have the skills to convert. This is missing. I've talked to a lot of people individually who claim, oh yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm sharp on the phones. And then as soon as I start throwing a couple questions or objections at them, they fall apart. You got to be sharp. Role play is like all the practice you would do as an athlete. That way you prepare for the game. The game is your prospecting and your presentations. Make sure you're ready. Next, minimum one accountability partner that you check in with before you start your day and after. I'm going to recommend you have more than one, but this is your road dog. This is your competitor. This is somebody who you bounce off of, right? This is typically what people find in coaching programs. Find somebody who's your accountability partner, right? This is going to keep you going. When they're not feeling it, they lean on you. When you're not feeling it, you lean on them. That competitive spirit and partnership is key. Whether I found them online or through coaching or events, I always had accountability partners to keep me sharp. You guys know that when you have somebody working out with you, prospecting with you, doing things with you, it gets the competitive juices flowing, but it pushes you to go harder. This is why, if you go work out and you have a partner with you or a trainer, they push you to go a little bit harder, right? That element, when it's present, uplifts you and makes you go harder, right? Next, pick 2 to 3 nights a week that you do additional prospecting. If you don't have appointments, hit the phones and doors harder. Go preview homes. Go hit expireds and FSBOs. Go knock on those doors. Do additional prospecting if in that afternoon or evening slot you don't have appointments. Those of you who have less production going, this is key. This will help you build more momentum. Whether I had appointments or not, I always prospected 2 nights a week minimum between like 5 and 8 p.m. every single week. Sometimes I did more. If I was feeling it, I would do it more, but minimum, it was 2 nights a week. Why? I wanted to get ahead. Okay. Next, I'm going to save that one for last. Focus on expireds, FSBOs, sphere of influence, just listed, just sold, open houses, and client events. Client events is for your SOI. SOI is a sphere of influence. You should be contacting them every day. Fresh expires and old expires, fresh FSBOs and old FSBOs, right? Those are going to be the quickest route for you guys to get appointments. Now, the issue with those lead sources for most people is they require a more refined system because you're going to get them through follow-up, but they also have a higher skill threshold, meaning they are a quicker listing. However, you got to be more skilled to really convert them. And this is why, if you guys implement what I told you before, very quickly, you're going to make rapid progress with those lead sources. Let's be real. Why do most agents not contact FSBOs and expireds? They're afraid. Why are they afraid? It's not rejection. It's because they know deep down they don't have the skill set to navigate those tougher conversations. Build the skill set. You build a certain level of competence, you'll now have that baseline of confidence to go after them, right? But those are the lead sources mainly that you need to focus on that will be a more efficient route for you to get listings. Now, there's more than that, but I'm going to recommend that you really focus on those to build momentum and to put yourself in the best position to start taking listings now, okay? Next, add a minimum of 3 to 5 people to your sphere of influence every single day. If you're talking to 40 or 50 people every day, that's about 10% or a little bit less, meaning 10% of the people that you speak to, whether they're ready or not, you capture their cell phone, their name, right, their email, and you add them to your sphere of influence. Because as you build that system, that's going to be your bread and butter a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. If you build up, let's say you work 250 days out of the year and you add 3 people a day, that's 750 people you add to your database in 1 year. That's a lot of people. If you do that over 2 years and you work that list, it's going to be a lot, right? Next, 3 condensed follow-up sessions throughout the day, 3 20-minute blocks, 1 early in the morning, right before you start, 1 during lunch, and 1 in the evening. Every time you generate a lead, you ask them, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Lead, if I needed to get a hold of you and I called you, when would you pick up or be the most likely to pick up? Early in the morning before work, lunch, or in the evening after work? Whatever they tell you, you put that lead in that follow-up slot. 3 20-minute blocks, increase the likelihood of talking to them, which is going to help you convert. Okay. Be simple, be efficient. Okay. Now, I will give you a full condensed follow-up system real quick in case you want to implement that now. A lead to me in Team BC is somebody who's going to do business in 30 days or less, meaning they're going to meet with us and sign a contract in 30 days or less. The 3 categories within the follow-up system are the appointment folder, which is somebody who we set an appointment with. You have a hot lead, somebody who's 7 days or less to meeting with you. Then you have a warm lead, which is greater than 7 days up until 30. Anybody beyond 30 days is in our database. Our database is a completely separate system, which is your sphere of influence. Okay. The moment somebody becomes 30 days or less, they go from your database to your warm lead folder. The moment that they're 7 days or less, they go to your hot lead folder. Okay. The moment that they become an appointment, they obviously go into the appointment folder, right? You look at your leads every day, your hot leads you call or contact daily. The warm leads you're going to look at twice a week, Mondays and Tuesdays, and then you make the call if you're going to call them or not. Okay. Next, I know I'm going a million miles an hour, but I want to make sure we get it all out. Lastly, create a content plan. I batch film most of the time, one day or one night, where I create all the content, such as day in the life content, home tours, featuring my listings, stuff like that. So if you're going to go feature listings and do home tours, schedule 3 or 4 for one afternoon and bang them all out. That way you have all your content done for the week in one session. That's how you do content. You don't film every 5 minutes and try to figure it out. You put everything together, you create a quick plan, and you film it, and then you post it. Ideally, you would probably do it over the weekend. That way, you have all your content mapped out for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then the next weekend, you can shoot again. Okay. Now, lastly, get a real coach. I see so many people in real estate thinking that they're going to figure it out themselves. I think it's become apparent the last couple of years that we're not going to figure it out ourselves, and watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts is not enough. I can help you, but there's also a million coaches out there. Find the one that you want to work with and start working with them. You need to master this game if you're going to thrive in real estate. All that's happening is a lot of money still being made in real estate, but the percentage of realtors making that big money is getting smaller and smaller, and more are failing and doing less. 2024, 49% of agents didn't sell a house. Sorry, that was 2023. 2024, it was 71 or 72%. I'm curious to see what it's going to be at the end of this year. It's trending upwards. It's probably going to be 80 or 90%. Didn't sell one house. 10 years ago, the average agent sold 3, 4, 5 houses a year. That's a steep decline in only one decade. So you have to make a decision. Am I going to take this serious or not? Okay. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. I know that was quick and to the point. I'm going to pass it over to Blaine, and he's going to take it from there.
Thank you, kind sir. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Blaine Cruz. I am a real estate agent here in the Houston area. Been with Bryan at Real for, we're on year 2, I think, right now, since I joined with him, and we have been working and collaborating so much, we decided to make it official. And I kind of started joining him, or I joined him over here there at Team BC. And so that is where I am at currently. And I know y'all don't give a crap about that, but now at least you know who I am. So the thing to remember is that this job is boring most of the time. Where you're going to really excel is to be able to just work deeply while you're bored. And there's ways around that. I have a technique I use when I am generating leads and stuff. I make it into a game. I'm tracking everything and I give myself a point system. That's just what I do to kind of keep me motivated, and it helps me measure what I'm doing. But the real thing to remember too is when you're creating this listing machine, you have to build it on a foundation of systems and processes. A machine works the same way every single time. An assembly line type situation, you have your each station, it just works down and down and down and down, and you go. But the machine works the same way every single time. The machine can be modified, it can be tweaked, it can be improved, you can add components to it, but you have to start with at least a basic framework. Don't go into this trying to plan out everything with your systems and processes from the get-go, because all you're going to do is do creative avoidance and think you're actually doing something when you're not doing crap. Okay? Just get you a basic framework and move from there. And as you develop your skills and you improve and you add lead sources, you're going to modify that and you're going to improve it. Okay. And so with your machine, you're going to have some key components to it. So the first is going to be your CRM. Now, I prefer a software CRM for a lot of the features it has, but it could be as simple as a sheet of paper that you have that you're tracking everything in folder systems. You don't have to do something advanced. So I know top producers who only use an Excel spreadsheet. I can't use any of that. So I use an actual software CRM. So that's really what I am going to speak to. And I like those because they're great for being able to access from my phone or any computer for notes, for tracking things that I'm doing, and the automation that it can do with lead follow-up, which I'll talk about later. Uh, there's a lot of options for CRMs. Some are more robust than others, but for the most part, they all basically are the same. You're going to definitely have different price points, and their ability to integrate with other lead sources and things like that are totally different. But with things like Zapier and API Nation, it kind of eliminates the edge that some have. And even some of those CRMs are using Zapier and API Nation instead of trying to develop direct integrations between different sources. So, um, your broker may provide you a CRM at a discount, which is fantastic. Take advantage of that. But just know that if you're using your broker's CRM and you're not paying for your own and staying broker agnostic, which is something that is definitely important to remember, um, you need to be sure that you back up all your data because some brokerages are very proprietary with their CRMs, and you won't be able to pull that with it. I made a change on a CRM and I had to recreate everything. All I was able to bring was the contact data and their names. All the 30 gazillion different smart plans I had for drip campaigns and stuff lost. I had to recreate all of them, and it was time that I had to get back. My current CRM, if I made a switch, not a problem. They'll just switch me back because I originally started out with my own iteration. Just because of the discount, I moved to my broker's CRM after confirming that I would just switch back to my own without losing anything. It's magic that they could do on the back end. So that's definitely one thing to consider. Another thing that you are going to need, and I know you all know this, it's email because that's where we're at. But what I want to specify is, and I'm going to probably upset some people, but don't use Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, whatever, Outlook.com. Spend the 20 bucks, get your own domain, and then spend $6 a month, maybe $10 a month max for an email service. You know, having your own domain will add a level of professionalism to your emails as opposed to having AOL. You know, I know there's agents who use it, but if you want to set yourself apart from people and getting listings, have your own domain. I know it seems silly, but you can be losing out on business because you don't want to spend $30 a year, you know. Um, the next thing that you're going to want to have is your lead sources. You need more than your sphere. Your sphere is fantastic. You know them, they love you, but you don't know enough people to keep you in business. And it's not their responsibility to keep you fed and clothed and support your family. Yes, Sphere is great. Yes, like Bryan said, you definitely should be contacting them on a regular schedule, daily. Don't contact the same people every day, but be contacting people in your sphere on a regular basis, on a daily basis, so that way you can remain in touch. Keep them reminded that you are in real estate because honestly, everybody knows more than one real estate agent. So you definitely want to be sure that they think of you when you are reaching out to them. You're going to build that connection. Don't make it always about real estate. Just talk to them, see what's going on. A good trick that I use is, hey, how's work going? Blah, blah, blah. They're going to ask you about your work at some point, and you just kind of mention something briefly, but you move on. Make it about something else. Don't make it all about your work and just go from there. So you can look like at Bryan said, you've got your expireds, terminateds, your circle prospecting for rent by owners. We did a whole list of these in another um, webinar, and it's posted on his YouTube channel. You can definitely check it out. But you want to have your lead sources. Some of them you might have to pay a service to get, but it's definitely worth it. Now, I realize that, you know, most likely, especially if you're having a tough year, money is going to be tight. So you need to limit your spending on BS, but and spend your money on where it counts. And for a lead service, whether it's RedX, Vulcan 7, or Espresso Agent, whatever, the 60 gazillion ones that are out there. I'm not sponsored by any of those, just for the record. But find one that fits your pocketbook and one that has good data for your area. All lead sources or providers are not created equal. Some are good in some areas and some are good in other areas. And I have found that a lot of that has to do with uh, the area you're in. Larger cities where there's a lot more people, usually the data is a lot more accurate because there's a lot more of their information online. Uh, but just find one that works for you and test it out. Do not sign a long year commitment for that discount. At least give it 30 days to see what kind of return you're getting with that lead source or with that provider. Okay. And most of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is basically uh, going to be outbound stuff, because you can do paid sources, which I don't do. And there's a lot of scammers out there who are just trying to get in your pocketbook, but really, uh, especially if things are lean for you, it's a lot better to spend 50 bucks for data that you get every day of expireds and terminated and call those as opposed to spending $1,500 a month for crap Facebook leads that are going to go nowhere. There's a time and place for your paid lead sources and getting those sent to you when you can spend the time and weed through those and you're not so dependent on them. When you're going out there and hunting and killing and getting those leads, that's an analogy. Don't literally go out there and hunt and kill people. But when you're out there doing these things, you you're going to get a faster return by going out there hunting as opposed to waiting for people to come to you. And you tracking the people down and finding the people, that is going to work out better and you're going to get deals a lot faster. Okay. So if you're going to use paid lead sources, I don't recommend you do it if you're just starting out or you're still struggling. Definitely that's down the line, something you can do down the line, and it's something that should scale for you. You should be getting a good enough return of investment on that. So for every dollar you're spending, you're getting at least $2 back. And when it's in that kind of scenario, your budget technically should be unlimited because every time you spend a dollar, you're going to get two back or three back or whatever the case may be. So that is down the line, but you definitely need to start doing something and generating by doing prospecting. Now, another component you need for your listing machine is a dialer and or burner numbers. Do not use your cell number to make cold calls. Only use your cell phone number unless you want to ruin it and have to contact everyone and give them a new number again. Do not use your cell number for cold calling. You want to use that strictly for your warm and hot leads and maybe your nurtures, but cold calls, definitely do not use that. You will ruin that number. You will be marked as spam, and no one will ever pick up your phone call from that number ever again. Um, Dialers are great, especially if it's a dialer that can provide you with the phone numbers, multiple numbers, and you don't have to go buy them from Twilio and import them in and do all that other stuff. But you can do those. You can make multiple calls at one time and cycle through a lot of data, and it's a lot faster and more efficient as opposed to hand dialing on a phone, your cell phone, or doing one at a time. They have dialers that will do a single line dial, like Vulcan 7, Phone Burner, which actually use the same software, Espresso Agent, all those use the same software. They all operate the same. But you also have two-line dialers. Then you've got dialers like Mojo, which you can use up to three, so between one to three. Then you've got other ones that will allow you to use up to 14, 15 lines at one time. Never recommend using that many lines. although people at Enzo Dialer will probably poop on that idea. But I don't like to keep burning through my numbers. I prefer to keep the same ones because I don't want to have to keep switching out numbers or keep warming them up so they don't get marked as spam. I like having the same numbers so that way if someone calls back to those numbers weeks later, they most likely are still going to get me when they call my dialer back and it forwards to my phone. So you've got a lot of options on that front too, at a lot of various price points. Mileage on those varies, and the effectiveness and correct connection rate on those vary a lot, in my opinion. But find one that works with you, with data that works for you, and that would lead you to the next and probably one of the most important parts of and the last components of your lead machine, which is time. You have got to be consistent about making time to call and prospect. That is how you're going to get leads by consistently doing it. Ideally, like Bryan said, a minimum of 2 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours if you have no appointments, different times, whatever. Even if it's 1 hour a day, starting out will be better than doing 2 hours here, 3 hours here, 30 minutes here, whatever. Consistently every day reaching out to and making cold calls to talk to 40, 50 people. Okay. And as you do this, and as long as you're tracking your numbers on how many contacts you're making, how many leads you're generating, how many appointments you're setting, how many of those appointments you're meeting, how many are signing contracts, how many are uh, closing. If you track those numbers, you can track your conversion rate. And then hopefully, if I spend this much time, I'll get this many leads, I'll get this many listings, and I'll end up with this much many closings, and I'll make this amount of money. Tracking is super important so you know how much time you need to spend. If you know that um, if I spend an hour, I'm going to get $10,000 for it. You got to look at it that way. So you're making $10,000 an hour. Wouldn't you call more if you knew if I spend an hour calling and getting told no, that I'm going to make $10,000 down the line in 30 days? I know I would. I do. That's why I call. I'm a super big fan of calling. Um, let's see. Once you have those components assembled, you've got to execute. And like I mentioned, uh, my favorite, my focus is on outbound prospecting, especially expireds and terminated, because those are super hot. They were trying to sell and it didn't sell, and the chances are they still need to sell. These people, most of them are not just testing the market. Some will say that's what they're doing, but they have a goal. They have a reason why they're trying to sell. Selling your home is a pain in the ass. And so they're doing it for a reason. They're not doing it for shits and giggles. Okay. Sorry, Bryan, you're going to have to bleep that out. But so expireds and terminated, super, super bullish on those. Yeah, I'm bullish on those uh, because they're great and they're ready now. If you're looking for rentals, for rent by owners, those are great ones to reach out. For sell by owners, those are also ones that are great because they're trying to sell as well. And chances are agents have a hard time selling houses, especially right now. They are always having a hard time selling, no matter what the market. And the harder it is for us, it's exponentially going to be harder for them. So those are people you definitely want to reach out to. Um, they're 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 less, it's more economical to reach out to those hot leads like that because your ROI is going to be better, especially as opposed to paying, I can't talk today, paying for those lead sources with where everyone's trying to scam you out of your money. Definitely don't do those. Eventually you are going to be able to scale outbound prospecting so you don't have to do it, and you will be able to free up your time by using an ISA. But to have a good ISA, you kind of need to know what an ISA would need to do, which is why part of the reason why you need to call as well is because you will be able to know better who's going to be able to get the job done and hire the best candidate as soon as possible in order to scale to one ISA or two ISAs or whatever, you know? So, um, ads and the lead sources are easy to scale if the return on investment works. Like I mentioned before, your budget on those are unlimited. You just keep giving it money and it will keep giving you a return. If you do those and you can manage adding those later, uh, just keep adding as long as you're getting a return. If the return isn't working for you, uh, get rid of it. If you're getting to the point where you can't handle everything coming in and scaling is not something you can do, replace a bad one that's not giving you as good of a return as the other. Just keep your best return on investments of leads that you can still manage. Um, Now, none of this matters at all if you're not doing the follow-up. Most leads require follow-up. My average is 4 to 6 months of contact. Um, 90 days is probably about average, but 90 to 120 days is about average. Mine is 4 to 6 months between buyers and sellers. Uh, I don't have it broken down just on listings, but just keep doing the follow-up. Follow-up is key. There's a reason why that saying is a cliche. The fortune is the follow-up. Keep reaching out to them. I believe Bryan has done a video on YouTube, and I think we did it together about follow-up. So definitely check that out. He'll go into more detail than I will on this video because we don't want to keep you on there uh, for so long. But anyways, that is it for me. Are you still there, Bryan?
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
All right. I'm done. I just want to reiterate too that I know a lot of us got into this for the fun and excitement and the money of that real estate has to offer, but you're really only going to make it doing the boring stuff. I know I talked a lot about outbound prospecting, which I know nobody likes to do. I don't enjoy doing it, but I do it because that's how I make my money, and that's what you have to do. You just have to suck it up and do it and make those calls. If you can generate leads another way for next to nothing, more power to you. But I am a huge fan of outbound prospecting. I'm not paying anyone 30, 40%, 25% of my commission. All I'm doing is paying these lead providers for the lists and just going from there. Okay, I'm done.
Cool. All right. We can open it up to questions now if you guys have any. Mike asked about the link. Yes, Mike, that is the correct link. You can click it right now. It works. I've already had, I think, 2 people from the call schedule a strategy call, so it works. Michael asks, and you can chime in on this too, Blair. He said, "Do you recommend a coach for every level of broker? How important is it for the coach to be specific of a coach for your needs, not just any coach?" Well, um, it really, the way I see coaching in anything, right, is I'm going to elect this individual, this organization, or whoever with a specific thing. Hey, I want to be able to jump 12 inches higher. Blaine is a vertical coach. He's going to help me achieve the 12 inches and increase in my vert. I'm going to hire him for that. Boom. All right. Like it has to be specific. People come to me for many reasons, but the reason that you go to me or anybody else is going to be for something specific, right? So absolutely, it's important. And in many cases, whether it was business, real estate or athletics, I always had multiple people helping me with different things, right? I've had people who help me financially. I've had people who help me in general business information. I've had real estate coaches. I've had, when I was at the peak of my game playing basketball overseas, I think I had 3 coaches at once. One that helped me specifically for like explosiveness and speed. The other one that was more of like a technical coach to help me with shooting and improving technically. And then I had another one that was helping me like psychologically as a player to have that edge, right? Um, so, I don't know if Blaine wants to add to that, but definitely you want the coach to help you to get from point A to point B, depending on what that specific thing is that you want.
I would love to contribute to that question, Bryan. Um, I love using sports as an analogy because you have so many coaches at one time, right? Now, I know that a lot of you may be in a position, well, I can't hire 3 or 4 coaches. Find out what your weakest, figure out what you're weakest at right now, If you can only afford one and say, what do I need to improve the most right now to improve my business and get a coach for that. Whether it's just being a real estate agent in general, or maybe you need to learn how to prospect, or maybe you need to learn how to door knock, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you need a mindset coach or whatever. So I got my first coach. I've been doing this since 2007. I'm like on my 19th year. I didn't get my first coach until around 2015, 2017. And that was just, I decided to take the full-time leap into real estate, pass on my business, but I was like, I know I need help with just being a real estate agent in general and what it entails. I knew I was missing something. So I went ahead and I got my first coach, which was great. Got general real estate stuff. He wasn't big on prospecting. He hated making phone calls, but I hired that coach, and it got me to the next level. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to outgrow coaches, hopefully, and you're going to need to find another coach to help you get to the next level. Or maybe you're weak in another area, you're strong here, being a real estate agent in general. So now you need to get a better coach for prospecting. So I'm going to find me a coach who can do prospecting. There's some that can do all of that, but I know I outgrew one coach and had to go to another coach, you know, just to figure out and to replace some bad skills or some bad knowledge with some new stuff that's going to get me to the next level. You should always be ready to cut a coach loose once you've learned everything you can and they can't do anymore. Professional athletes have more than one coach. Business guys have more than one coach because they reach a level and go from there. Remember, you're a professional and you're a business. You're going to graduate, hopefully. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, appreciate that, Blaine. Absolutely. Let's see. So Curtis, he said, what would you tell people to help improve their conversion ratio at listing appointments? Well, to me, that's a skill thing, right? Like I can think of, I don't know if he's on the call, Will, right? He just joined me recently. He's not on the call. Um, and that's something that I asked him. I said, hey, Will, if you go on 10 listing appointments, how many are you going to take right now? And he said anywhere from 4 to 5. So we had a discussion around, okay, it's going to take a certain, method or methodology to get you to 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10, which is the goal. And part of the reason that he joined me was he knows I can get him from 4 to 5 to 8 or 9 out of 10. And really, I would say for a lot of people, it's a skill thing because there's two components to that. Is number one, you have to have a listing system to know exactly what to do. But the other one is the skill set, which combines some of the things we discussed here, generating the lead, setting the appointment, qualifying the appointment, going and successfully getting the contract signed, which for most agents right now on the market, it's just they throw mud on the wall to see what sticks. Oh, somebody said they want to sell their house. Okay. They don't even have a method or a structure. So part of it is a structure, which for sure is missing for a lot of people. But I really believe the number one thing they need to tackle is having a bona fide listing presentation and mastering it and then being able to execute it over and over and over, like tying their shoes, right? Like where it's easy and just methodical. I don't know if you wanted to add to that, Blaine.
No, you're right. I mean, a key thing too is to track and see what your conversion rate is. You should be tracking everything. So if you're tracking it, you can actually see where you need to focus. In this case, it's converting at listing appointments, right? Um, and so you just kind of have to focus on this is where I'm weakest. And it boils down to skills really 9 times out of 10. Uh, you don't go in and you try something this time and then you try something different next time. You're going to have to try the same thing a few times, the same script, the same responses and stuff like that. And that role playing that Bryan talked about is super important because it helps you practice getting it out and saying it, but you won't know its effectiveness until you're live. But you don't want to practice saying it for the first time with your prospect or your lead when you're at that appointment. You want to be sure you know what the words to say are and how to say it, because how you say it is a lot of times more important than what you say. But you need to get that practice out so you can say it and get it out. And then you can try it over and over and over and over again on your appointments and see if it works. And then you course correct as you need.
I appreciate that, Blaine. One thing I want to add is a lot of people discount and really don't take communication and sales seriously. A lot of people think sales is super easy. Oh, I'm a talker and this and that. It has nothing to do with that. Sales is a completely different, like that branch of communication. If people really took it seriously, they would unlock something that is beyond their wildest dreams and imagination. I'm telling you.
I want
You
to
have to take it a lot more serious than just, oh, I'm listening to this guy or I heard this podcast that's cool. I'm talking like really dedicating yourself. If somebody dedicated themselves to sales, but I don't even like saying sales because people already have an idea in their head of what that is. I'm talking about communication, really understanding it, like behavioral psychology, studying human behavior, right? What makes us tick as human beings? What attracts us? What repels us? How the slightest like understanding tonality and that whole discussion, where it came from and where it stems from, and really understanding that stuff at the core, not just picking up a script. And when you really take it to that level where you really dedicate yourself like a student like that, you will be surprised how little people really know about communication. And you'll be able to go out there and you'll have what you believe to be a superpower when you interact with people. And that will give you more than enough confidence and certainty when you deal with people in a sales situation. That gives you the ultimate control over your business. And when you have that skill set, it leaks into every part of your business. Your emails become more effective, your follow up, your prospecting, your presentations, going to networking events, doing client stuff. Everything just improves. Your personal life improves too. People don't understand the importance of communication and how it's literally woven into the fabric of being a human being because we're social creatures, right? Go ahead, Blaine.
No, no, you're 100% right. And it kind of goes back to the coaching thing too, whether you're focusing on communication, which is super important, but don't jump around different coaches necessarily at one time if they're all teaching the same thing. It's okay to have multiple coaches if they're teaching you different stuff. But whatever coach you're following, for whatever reason, suck the marrow out of the bone for what you can learn from them about whatever. Anything you're digesting, just go deep and strong and execute on it. Don't just read a bunch of crap and do nothing. Read something. You don't even have to finish the book and just start executing.
Yep.
Just use it. Don't, as you're reading, it may take you longer to read a book if you stop and think about how can I apply this to what I'm doing. You know, it's better to suck the marrow out of 4 books than be able to say, well, I've read 52 books this year. No one gives a shit. That's not going to affect reading a book and doing nothing means absolutely nothing. You will get nothing out of it.
Yep.
Read fewer books, read the same books over and over and over again. You know, pick out your books, get your Mount Rushmore of knowledge, whatever you want, your Library of Alexandria, whatever. Get the source of books and focus on those books for the year and what you can learn from it and get everything out of it that you possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, it blows my mind. Like I'll post a call and then all these keyboard warriors, oh, they'll give these like lengthy breakdowns. I'm like, dude, pick up the phone and call and show me how it's done. Crickets, because they can't make a call or execute to save their lives, but they can intellectually tell you everything that you did right and wrong and this and that. But to his point, can you actually do it though? You can talk a big game. Can you do it? I'm like, hey, come on a live with me on YouTube and we'll call together. Do they show up? Of course not. But they'll type all day. I'm the man and you did this wrong. And well, you did this right. And this is what I would change. It's no different than when my agents would go live on Instagram and they would start paying attention. I'm like, dude, don't pay attention to what they're talking about. They're just in your comment section running their mouths. They're not making calls. Tell them to come on the live with you and make calls and show you how it's done. And then if they're good, then we'll listen. It's a
Hey,
great
if they were
point.
any good, they wouldn't be sitting there watching. They would be making
Exactly.
their own calls, right? They don't know what the
Exactly.
hell they're doing.
Exactly. So Scott asks, I'd be curious to see what you say about this too, Blaine. He said the brokerage I'm affiliated with doesn't allow us to use dialers, like the automated dialers. What would be just as good as an alternative for not making mass calling? Okay. I'll say this. Number one, you need to leave that broker, right? 100%. Now, let's say you're not. Well, what's the other alternative? Hand dial? Do the old school thing that I did where I was at my office and I had two phones set up and I was hand dialing one and then the other. But dude, if they don't allow you to use a dialer in this day and age, you got to leave. I mean, that's point blank my answer.
100%. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Your broker has every right to dictate how his business is run. 100%. But by that same token, you have every right to dictate how your business is run as long as it's legal and, ethical with that caveat.
Yeah.
I actually had a disagreement with a broker I was at, and I said, "Hey, no problem. Just give me a couple of days." And the next day, I was talking with Bryan on Zoom, and by the next day, I was completely at Real. Completely. Everything was switched over. I have a I respect my broker, that broker. She and I still talk. We are still very good friends, but I have a right to run my business the way I need to run my business. I don't, no matter what the reason is. And being able to call and generate money, I can't believe that broker would not want you to earn some money. They might be too afraid of getting snagged for the DNC. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's a call you have to make on whether or not you want to chalk up any fines to be in the cost of business or not. That's between you, God, and your broker, I guess. I don't know. But uh, I'm not going to be dictated how I run my business for sure. If to generate money, I need to use a dialer, I'm using a dialer.
Yep. 100%. Andre said, you mentioned prioritizing prospecting in the morning. What's your take on door knocking in the morning versus the evening in terms of getting results? Great question, man. I'll say this. You're looking at somebody who's door knocked more than 100,000 residential doors, morning, evening, weekday, weekend, and calls. I made hundreds of thousands. And I can tell you the number one thing that's the most important is doing it consistently. And the reason that I recommend that people do it in the morning is it's easier for them to do it consistently. Because when I've tracked people who said, oh, I'm only going to do it at night versus the morning, 80-90% of the time, the morning people almost always did it. The people who pushed it to the evening, something always came up. Oh, I couldn't door knock yesterday, Bryan, because my mom got sick and I had to take her to the doctors. Oh, Bryan, I couldn't because this client called me or this escrow was falling apart and I had to email the lender and then this happened. Something always came up. Oh, well, I didn't get to go to the gym in the morning, so I had to go in the afternoon. Sorry, man, I couldn't door knock. Right? So you can do it whenever you want. The caveat is, will you do it consistently? And I know if you wake up and do your routine and then you get your prospecting done in the morning, most of the time you're going to do it virtually every time. Then you have the rest of the day to do whatever. Go to the fucking beach if you want after, right? And hang out or go hang out with your buddies, but at least you got the bulk of your work done, your prospecting done. If people are thinking, oh, well, at night, everybody's home and everyone's look, again, I've tested it more than anybody else. It always averaged out to the same. I've gone out on weekends where I see everybody's home and I'm knocking on doors and nobody's opening the door because they don't want to talk to anybody. And I see that they're home. I remember a couple Saturdays I went out, door knocked for 3 hours, and I talked to like three people. And I'm like, dude, everyone's like, oh man, go on the weekends, everybody's home, but nobody's opening the door. Right. But I could go sometimes on a Monday morning and in 3 hours, I'll talk to 30 or 40 people and my prospecting is pretty much done. So I'm always going to recommend you do it in the morning. Ultimately, it's up to you. However, the most important thing is consistently. If every day you're going to 99% of the time door knock from 12 to 2:30 and you'll do it consistently, then have at it. Go from 12 to 2:30. But that's the key.
Yep. If you know, based off studies, the 8 to 12 or whatever that you're calling in the morning isn't the ideal time based off of studies. It's actually like 4 to 6 or whatever. But the reason why you have to do it in the morning is because if you have all day until 4 o'clock before you do it, that rationalization weasel will take over and get you to not do it. The whole point is to do it. It's not about the optimum time. It's just about the time that you know you will do it. As someone who struggles with being a little bitch on the phones, even now, after having done it forever, I still do it in the mornings because I know if I sit there and go, I'll do it. I'll do it in, at lunchtime. I already know that the fact that I'm even having that conversation with myself, I've already lost. I've already lost
Yep.
because I shouldn't even be having that conversation because I should be sticking to my process and my schedule, which is my dialer is kicking it at between 8 and 8:05. I say 8:05 because sometimes, the coffee kicks in. But, the whole thing is same time every morning.
Yep.
Just do it, get it out of the way. Uh, there's a book, Eat the Frog, Brian Tracy, I think, or whatever, right?
Yep.
Doing cold calling is probably the hardest thing that most people will do for prospecting and trying to generate business because it involves putting yourself out there, it involves being disciplined and taking the risk of rejection. The rejection is nothing. You build up a tolerance to it. And even to this day, how many people that tell me F off every year? Two. Two. Almost no one is that rude. Most people will hang up. Some might call you a loser. I know I'm not a loser, so whatever, I just move on with my life.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep. Thanks for coming, Scott. See ya. 100%, man. You're right. I enjoy it now, right? Like I remember really when I started hitting that stride and getting confident when somebody was upset, especially like an expired or FISBO, I was like, oh, they're motivated if they're upset. So it went from me being afraid of rejection to now being excited to get past that wall because I know, hey, I got somebody here. So let me use my skill to talk to them. At the same time, um, rejection aside, as I became more skilled, I was looking forward to it. I was like, man, I can't wait. Like, what adventure am I going to get into today? Because sometimes these door knocks and calls would turn into really good conversations. I remember a dude that I door knocked. I ended up finding out he was an entrepreneur. We became actually friends. He invited me to golf with his friends on the weekends. I ended up doing a ton of deals with them and got introduced to a bunch of other people. Like, so many stories like that, right? So then I was like, man, so it completely flipped from, oh man, I'm sweating bullets. I don't want to do this. I'm scared to, hey, it's time to, have some fun again. Right. And it
Well,
completely changes later on.
I'm writhing in my chair right now because you reminded me of one of my favorite things ever when I get someone who is upset on the phone. I call and they're like a jerk right out of the gate. I love those. I love those. As long as they stay on the phone, I love them because my goal is to get them to apologize. I love it when they apologize. Hey, sorry, man. I'm getting a lot of these calls or whatever. Oh, hey, no, I understand. I'd be upset too. But I love trying to get them to apologize just by being professional and empathetic to the whole situation. I mean, I understand. They're trying to sell their house and it failed, right? And now they're getting calls about it. I'd be upset too, But I love that's one of the games I play. Uh, when I'm cold calling. Anyways, I got super excited when you brought that up because it reminded me. It's been
Yeah.
so long since I've had
Yeah.
someone be that upset. Anyways,
Yeah. Love it, man. And that's cool, right? Because then you kind of turn it into a game and it's cool. Cool. Okay, guys. I posted the link earlier if you guys want to set up a call. Again, if you guys want to chat about anything else, me and Blaine work together on Team BC. We're a part of Real Brokerage. If you're thinking about making a switch, the strategy call link is to chat with me about coaching or anything that you would want to do with me. Make sure you save that link because as soon as we shut this down, it's done. Again, if you're watching this recording on YouTube, everything will be in the description. I'm going to pin you again real quick. Blaine, is there anything you wanted to add or wrap up with?
no, I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything, and I think I've repeated myself like 12 times, and the whole thing should be a communist speechwriter probably. But yeah, no, I mean, the whole thing with all of this is get started. You could get started tomorrow. Pick your CRM, pick your dialer, whatever, pick your lead source provider and just get it because you can sign up and get that stuff right away. Right away. It doesn't take them a week to get you set up on a dialer. Go to Mojo, sign up or whoever, and just sign up and get done. And you could be started in a day or two. Just get started. The best time to start is now.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Appreciate it. As always, man. It's always, Blaine's. a trooper, dude. You know, most of the time when I do this type of stuff, most people can't keep up and they don't want to participate. But every time I'm like, you want to be a part of this? He's like, yep, let's do it. So it's
Oh yeah,
cool.
I love, man, I love the opportunity. It reminds me of at one of my previous brokers. I was a mentor there, and I still mentor people here and there. Now I'm just focused on people who are with me. But I love mentoring and helping. I mean, I've been doing this so long. I just love sharing with what I've learned to help people succeed. So, anyways, okay.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
thanks. I appreciate you inviting me on all these and putting up with my stupid jokes and salty language.
Dude, I love it, man. That's right up my alley. All right, guys. Appreciate you coming. Thanks to Blaine. Thanks to everybody who attended. I'm going to upload this here on YouTube after we're done. All right. Appreciate you guys. If you need anything, reach out to me or Blaine and we'll chat. All right. See ya.